Hello everyone, we're back in CS211 again, and we're looking at this question that came in the 2021-2022 session of paper, and we have been asked to develop a program that uses while loops and branching constructs to generate the plot of the graph that we have been given in figure 1. And we're just going to go over how we can come up with the code that will be able to generate this this plot. And without wasting much time, let's just go straight into it. Okay, so if you were unable to see the plot clearly, I've outlined it here for us to be able to visualize it clearly. And the first thing that we would want to do is analyze the mathematical part of this question, which is we need to come up with the equations for these two lines in our given plot. So the equation for this line and the equation for this other line. So the first thing that we're going to calculate is the gradient of the equation for the first line, and we know the formula for the gradient goes something like m is equal to y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, and we can be able to pick out two points of interest from line 1, which is this point here 0 comma 0, and the point here 20 comma 30. So we have 0 comma 0 and 20 comma 30, and just replacing in our equation here, we're going to have 30 minus 0 over 20 minus 0, which will just give us 1.5, which is our gradient for equation 1. And formulating the equation for line 1, we are going to use the formula y minus y1 is equal to mx minus x1, and we're just going to use 0 comma 0, which is going to give us y minus 0 is equal to 1.5 x minus 0, which is just y is equal to 1.5x. Okay, just go there a minute. Let's continue. Okay, so we've managed to formulate the equation for line 1. Let's move on to the equation for line 2, and our points of interest are going to be 20 comma 30 and 50 comma 0, and going straight away to finding the gradient, m is equal to 0 minus 30 over 50 minus 20, which is giving us a value of -1. Okay, and forming the equation for line 2, we're going to say y minus 0 is equal to -1, open bracket, x minus 50. I've used these points here, which is going to give us y is equal to -x plus 50 is the equation for line 2. So we have dealt with the mathematical part. Now the next part we have to do is the MATLAB part. So let's go straight away to the design and see how the code is going to look in our design. Okay, so the first thing that we would like to do is form the equation for form the array for the x values. So we're going to say x is equal to 0 to 50, since we know that the graph is ending at 50. Then the next thing, since we're using a while loop, we're going to have a count. So we're going to create a variable by the name of count, which is going to be equal to 0 for its initial value, and we're going to introduce the while loop. We're going to say while count is less than or equal to 50. I hope I haven't swapped these. If is it the equal sign which is supposed to be first, or okay, we'll check. So while count is less than or equal to 50, we are going to introduce an if statement. If count is less than or equal to 20, because we know that equation 1, line 1 rather, is ending at an x value which is equal to 20. So for line 1, we are only going to execute up to an x value which is equal to 20. Okay, so we'll say y open bracket count plus 1 is equal to our equation for line 1, which is equal to 1.5 times, not x, we're going to say 1.5 times count, because x is an array. X is an array of values which is going something like 0, comma 1, comma 2, up to 50. And for us to start getting values from x and putting them here, I feel to be a waste of time, and it's going to take more lines of code than this. So we're just going to use count. Since count is starting from 0 and x is also starting from 0, we can utilize count to substitute individual values of x in the array x. And why I'm saying count here, why I'm saying y open bracket count plus 1 is because indexing for MATLAB starts at a value of 1. So this position here has got a value of 1. The position here is position 2. The position here is position 3. That's how MATLAB works. For other languages like Python, positioning may start from 0, implying that this 0 here has an index value of 0. But for MATLAB, that's not the case. So we need to add a value of 1 to the index. So since to the count, since count is starting from 0, here it's going to be something like 0 plus 1, which will be equal to y1, and this y1 will be equal to 1.5 times 0, which will just give us 0, implying that in the y array, the value at position 1 is going to be equal to 0. So this is position 1. The value at that position is equal to 0. I hope that the point I've stressed has been has been understood. So moving on, we are going to have an else. So we need to say else. We can say else if count is greater than 20. We're going to apply the second equation, which is count plus 1 is equal to count negative count plus 50. So like I said, count here is just representing individual values of x. So we're going to say that, and we're going to end our if statement. Just be consistent. So end, and before we end our while loop, we're going to have this line of code, which is count is equal to count plus 1, which is just going to increase our value of count. So for the first loop pass, we're going to have a value of count which is equal to 0, and for the second loop pass, our value of count will be equal to 1, and we'll be substituting these values in our given equations. Okay, so we're going to end our while loop like that. And what you notice is that when we get a value of count which is greater than 20, let's say 21, this part of the code is not going to run. We're going to shift to this part, which is equation 2, implying that the first if statement is helping us run this part of the code, and the else if is running this part. So the first one is plotting this line, the other one is plotting line 2. Going back, I think the only thing that we've missed is just saying below here, we just say plot x comma y, and below x comma y we can say grid on. So let's just quickly look at this in MATLAB and see how the code is being generated. Okay, so we are in MATLAB here, and if I just try to run this, okay, so if I run this, you can see that we are able to successfully generate the graph that has been given to us in our question. And let me just try to highlight the code for you so that you can see. So this is just equal to what we just came up with in the design. And I feel this might look complicated, but I feel it's the simplest and shortest way of generating the code for the given question. Mind you, this question is just 6 marks, so the lines of code do matter. You don't need to write a lot of lines for just 6 marks. That's how I feel. That's why I've come up with the shortest way to write the code for this question. If you may be able to come up with other ways, you can be able to share them, and we'll try to see if they are correct or not, and I'll be able to give advice on what you'll be able to come up with. But if you can understand this and use this, I feel it would save you more time. And with that said, I'll see you in the next video.